So it's the 22nd of March 2017. This is one day before the 10-year anniversary of the PlayStation 3. And before you all start shouting, yes, I know the PlayStation 3 was released supposedly internationally in, I think it was November 2006, but we didn't actually get it in the UK until the 23rd of March 2007. So for those of us in the UK and certain parts of Europe, our 10-year anniversary is the 23rd of March 2017. So what I've decided to do, because the PlayStation 3 is one of my, it probably is my favourite console, really. I would definitely put it in the top 3, but it really is my favourite console for a number of reasons. Not all of them good, but you know, I don't need anyone to agree with me, because this is what I'm going to do. So I've decided for the 10-year anniversary, I'm going to start reviewing all the PlayStation 3 games. And I mean, well, basically all the ones I can find. Certainly, my aim is to, after a period of however long it takes me, it might take months, it might take years, it'll probably take years, to be honest, to go through them all, to get them all filmed and uploaded and all the rest of it. But I've decided to go on in a very specific way to do it. Now, let me explain what it is I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and do reviews that last about 30 to 40 minutes. And I think the fairest way I can do this is to basically play. I'll talk about the game. I'll show the box, the artwork, stuff that comes with it. If there's collector's editions, this, that and the other, then obviously I'll show that if I have them. And then I'll probably do a first 30 minutes playthrough. Now, it may not be fair to judge every game on the first 30 minutes, but the way I like to look at games is sort of like books. If I'm not into a game within the first 30 minutes of playing it, I probably won't pick it up again. Now, this is obviously going to be fairer on some games than it is on others, but I think that's the only format I can really. If I'm going to judge an entire console's worth of games, I think that's probably the fairest way I can do it, and hopefully the most interesting way of doing it. Also, within the first 30 minutes, I think there's going to be no spoilers, no real playthrough spoilers for anyone that does actually want to play the game after they've seen a video I've done. So hopefully it's going to work out sort of fair, because it's sort of, like I say, it's like a book or a movie or whatever. I mean, if I turn a movie on Netflix and I think after 20 minutes I'm not following it, or I'm not into it, or all the rest of it, I turn it off. And like I say, I tend to do the same thing with games. Right, sorry. Bit of, still got a bit of this cold. Because it's actually, I mean, this video's going out in March, but this is still, I'm actually recording it in January. So that the idea being, by the time this goes up, this one goes up probably on the 22nd of March, then hopefully on the 23rd of March I can roll out maybe half a dozen, 7, maybe 10, if I find the time to record them, videos of the first 10 games. So, the way I've decided to go down a list of games, now, I have compiled a list of roughly in release date order, so hopefully the first reviews are going to be the first games that were available for the console. How I've done this is gone by their BLES or BCES number. If you're in the US, you'll know what this is. It's on the side of the box, but you'll have BCUS or BLUS. It's the catalog number that Sony uses for the games, and generally speaking, the lower the number, the earlier the release. So obviously the first sort of BLES 10 is going to be the first game that was, and BLES 3000 and something is going to be one of the last release games. So that's how I've decided to do it. Is basically it's going to follow the BLES number system, but so that sort of gives it a bit of a release order. So obviously the earlier games are going to come first, which is a good thing really, because a lot of people haven't played the earlier games. So that's hopefully something that people can, sink their teeth into. Also, because some of the earlier ones are some of the cheaper games as well. People tend to avoid them by thinking they're too cheap. But hopefully people will be surprised. So that, so yeah, I've explained the format of what I want to do, and I've explained why I want to do it. Hopefully, and maybe the way I'm going to do it is unfair. Maybe it's not. I don't know. You'll just have to judge for yourself when you see any of the videos. But the one thing I have decided to do, which having a look around. Certainly on YouTube about some of the newer games that come out, is that there is one glaring thing that people don't seem to have taken into account when they're reviewing modern games, and this goes for people that are reviewing Steam games as well as stuff that's on PlayStation 3, Xbox One, PlayStation 4 and all that, is that they don't seem to realise that those reviews in 20 years' time... Now, I'm not saying that people are going to be watching my stuff, the stuff I've put up in 2037, but you have to realise with these modern games that there is an aspect to them that people seem to overlook in review, and that is the internet connection. So bearing in mind, I mean... A lot of these early PlayStation 3 games, maybe the servers don't work for them anymore, so they might have multiplayer options that don't work at some point in the future. They might have downloadable content that doesn't work at some point in the future, and some of them may even have patches and things that are required to fix broken parts of the game that came out after the game's release. So how I've decided to tackle this is that I thought about rolling my PlayStation 3 back to factory settings. I decided against that purely because I really, really don't want to do that, and I've had my PlayStation 3 now. Mine is a day of release model. It's the 60 gig model, and I think I don't want to lose 10 years worth of stuff on my own console. So I figure the easiest way I can do that is just to turn off all the internet stuff, take the cables out the back, turn the wireless off, and if I have games installed maybe that already that required the packs, to uninstalling the extra packs and just going by what's on the disc. So hopefully, with the reviews that I'm going to do, which I'm hoping is going to be which is going to be different from some of the reviews that I've seen on YouTube already, is that I am not going to be taking any of the downloadable stuff into account. I'm not going to be taking online multiplayer into account. The game is going to be reviewed as the game that arrived in the box as I bought it. There's going to be no patches, nothing of that. If the game plays out of the box, and hopefully that will keep the videos relevant for a lot longer, is my thinking on it. I don't know. It may be difficult to follow what I'm trying to do, but hopefully you get the general idea if you watch any of the videos and see where I'm going with this. So that's basically it. The one point I am going to make is that there are certain titles I'm going to leave out of reviewing. I'm just going to ignore them completely, and that's not because I particularly dislike them, but I think there are a lot of things that don't lend themselves to a review. For instance, something like the Buzz games, they don't lend themselves to a review because they're basically like an interactive DVD game. They're not really a game. I mean, they are a game, but not in the sense of a sort of interactive narrative or something like that. They're not really a game. They're you see what I mean. SingStar, for the same reason, It's basically a load of templates with different songs on them. It's not really a game, and it doesn't lend itself to a review. You either like karaoke or you don't. You can't review karaoke, if you see what I mean. Because there's no game. The only thing that's going to be different from my playthrough of a SingStar game to yours is how good a singer we both are, and that doesn't lend itself to review. And the same thing with games that are released every single year, like sports games, for instance, FIFA or Tiger Woods or something like that. Yes, if you go from, say, 2007 to 2016, I think was the last release of FIFA on the console, then yeah, you are going to get slight differences, but even in that entire timescale, there's not going to be enough difference in over that period of years that it's worth reviewing what is basically a yearly add-on or a roster update to the teams. I mean, it's not. Maybe I'll review the first one, maybe I won't. I haven't decided. But to be perfectly honest with you, FIFA games and Tiger Woods games and things like that don't really lend themselves to review either. Purely because if you've played one, you've played them all. If you've played a FIFA game in the last 10 years, you know what the FIFA game you'll buy new tomorrow is going to be like. It's going to be exactly the same. Or slight graphical updates, but nothing that's going to drastically affect it. So stuff like that doesn't lend itself to review. So anything else that I'm going to leave out? Obviously, if I come across something that, and I can't think of anything offhand that this might be the case, but as I'm doing the reviews, I'm going to be buying the games myself for my own collection. Now, I might then later on, after reviewing them, choose to resell them or whatever. But if I come across a game that, say, that the current eBay price is 200 quid, I might just miss it out, because if it's going to cost me like a tenner and I'm probably going to keep the game for a long time, then I'll be quite happy to buy it. But if something is ridiculous money, and I don't think that I'm going to be keeping it afterwards, I might not bother. Just because I don't have that kind of disposable income where I can justify spending that kind of money on making a 40-minute video. So if there is something that anyone can think of that might be the case, I can't think of anything offhand in the PlayStation 3 library where that might be the case. And quite honestly, of the sort of more sought-after titles, I already have most of them anyway, and I bought them reasonably cheap. So I don't think there is going to be anything that's going to cause me a problem in that respect. So I will be reviewing import games if I have them as well. So some of the, not necessarily rarer stuff, but I do have certain import games which I had to buy as imports because they weren't released here. So if I have them and they come up in the catalogue number system, then obviously I will review them. And I think that's about it. I hope this goes up on the 22nd of March, and then I hope there's a load of other content that's going to appear in the playlist that goes up on the 23rd of March, coinciding with the 10-year anniversary of the PlayStation 3 in the UK. And that's about it. That's my hope for this series. Obviously, there are I'm not sure offhand exactly how many games there are, because I have them on a list, but I haven't actually counted them. But let's say there are 1,500 games, so that's me effectively being expected to do 1,500 reviews. So it comes down to whether they're worth doing as well at the end of the day. If, say, I get to game 50 and nobody's watching them, then I will probably just scrap the project there and then anyway, because if it gets down to the point where nobody's really interested, then obviously I'll have to reevaluate what I'm doing. But I'm hoping everyone is interested, or certainly interested enough to give the thing a watch. So that's my hope anyway. I mean, if I can give a review that was helpful to half a dozen people, then I'm quite happy to continue doing them. And that's about it. So hopefully you tune in for the first video, which I suppose I can't think of the name of the game at the moment. Anyway, it's an early one, so tune into it, and if you've never heard of it, then maybe I can persuade you to go out and buy it, or maybe I can persuade you to completely avoid it. I'm not sure how the review's going to go yet, because I haven't started doing them. So that's it. Yeah, I'll see you in the first review, hopefully.